microphone would be good. Lots of wires around here. Lots of wires. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing the microphone. All right. What do we got here? Okay, we got all the cameras working. Good to go. Testing the sound. Is the sound working? Is everything okay with the audio? Can you hear me? Is it loud enough? Hello, hello. Hey. Sound working, perfect. Angular. Vasily Mordas, hi. Tasnim Ahmed, hello, hello. Martin is excited about Angular. We're doing this at the same time that NGConf is going on right now. I don't know which one of y'all is going, which one of y'all has tickets. But I thought I'd come on here and welcome everybody. I haven't done this for a little while, so kind of miss doing this. And what we're doing today is I've got two machines here, the M1 MacBook Air right here, and my trusty old 16-inch MacBook Pro over here. And Parallels is out now. Parallels version 16.5 is out, and it supports the ARM architecture fully now. So that's why I want to test this out here. And I did test Windows. Unfortunately, Visual Studio 2019 doesn't yet work, not reliably at least, on Windows. And there is no ARM build for Windows of Node. So can't really test Angular or any projects like Vue or React. None of that stuff can be tested yet. You can probably run the x86 version of Node on Windows. In fact, yes, you can do it, and I tested it, and it doesn't work so well. I mean, it works, but it's a little slow because of the translation layer. So Windows is going to translate that architecture. It's kind of like Rosetta does on the fly translation, but Windows does it, and it's virtual Windows, so it doesn't work as smoothly as Rosetta. So today I'm going to do all native stuff on the M1, all ARM all the way through, and we're going to build an Angular project to see how that works out. MA says, hey, welcome, welcome. And of course, feel free to type stuff in the chat if you want to see anything else while we're here. I will be doing more videos like this. Marcus says, hello, lovely people. And Fart from Heaven is back. I remember that name. How could you forget that name? Amy says, can you do one for Flutter as well? That's in my plan. It's on my to-do list. I won't be doing Flutter today, but I definitely want to touch upon Flutter and see how it works on the M1. Martin says, I may buy a Mac Mini M1, 16 gigabytes. Too soon at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think at the end of the year, there's going to be new Macs coming out with the new chips. So I'm really looking forward to that. These are really, really amazing machines, the M1s, but the M1X or the M2, they're going to be even better, as you can imagine. And now that ARM version 9 is out, I'm guessing that Apple is going to start using those chips. And that's going to be crazy because ARM version 9 is better than 8. 8 is the current version. The M1s are probably using ARM version 8. Daniel Leal. Hey, long time. What's happening? Codeine says MacBook Air is best. M1X. What do you say about M1 and iPad Pro? I don't have one, but I'm really interested in how that will work out. I mean, can you run Linux on that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Can you imagine running Linux on the M1 MacBook, not MacBook, iPad Pro? I don't know what's happening with that, to be honest with you. Like, if I want to use the iPad, I'm just going to take the iPad and use it for what iPad is used for. If I want to use a computer, I'll bring my MacBook Air. So it's kind of they're going into the same direction, I'd say. And the convergence point is going to be a machine that's going to have a touch screen at some point, a keyboard, and it's just going to be a laptop. So Marcus Bonaire, thank you so much. Appreciate the support. Daniel Leal says, long time indeed, all good. Hope the same on your side. Yep, all good. Still doing native script stuff. That's my main gig. So we're going to kick things off, I think, right now. This might take a little bit of setup time. So I don't have Linux installed. So while that's happening, I'm going to have you guys look at this stuff. Okay, so we're going to start over here. Now, just as I mentioned before, Parallels now supports ARM. It's fully supported on ARM, so I'm going to use one of the images for Ubuntu here that comes with it. And it gives you a warning here on the M1 Air. It says, about Macs with M1 chip. Your Mac computer is powered by the M1 chip. Yes. And you need to use a VHDX or an ISO image that is ARM-based. That's a must. All right, so that's what it says. You cannot use like an x86 or a 64-bit Intel-based image. And when you go to the next step, it detects some of the images I already have on my machine, or you can install it by using one of these links here. I'm going to just go with Ubuntu here. Let's go with continue. And it's going to keep doing its thing. It's going to download that. In the meantime, I'm going to do the exact same thing over here on my Intel machine. Oops, I need to go Parallels, New. And this one has a few more options. Windows 10 development environment. By the way, for those folks that are interested, I did set up Windows and I did update it to the latest one as of a couple of days ago, the latest Insiders build on the new Parallel Parallels supporting ARM with Windows ARM. And I have some bad news for you. Windows 10 does not run Visual Studio 2019. So Visual Studio 2019 has a little bit of catching up to do, but .NET 6 Alpha runs pretty well. It runs very well. So looking forward to the end of the year when that all is working and fleshed out. All right, we're still installing here on the Air. Here we are on the Pro. And you can see more selections down here as the free systems that are available because there's more images for the Intel version. So I'm going to use the same one, Ubuntu. Let's continue with that. Download, and the download is slightly bigger by about a gigabyte or so. Now I do have a trial here. Okay, let's go with that. So we got one downloading and one installing. Oh, this one's already ready to go. Let's do that. Set up a password. All right, so we've got Ubuntu on this. That was pretty fast. I'm gonna not use the tools and I'm gonna just skip all this stuff here. By the way, does anybody here use Parallels? And if you do you use Windows or Linux? Let's send that message. Okay, we need the terminal. There we go. I'm going to create a new code directory. Make dirt, no. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so my goal here is to install Angular and to build Angular. So in order to do that, I need Node. However, if you go to download Node, if you do it the old-fashioned way using, a downloader like this, you can do that. Or you can just do apt-get or apt-install Node, but that'll get you only version 10 on Ubuntu because Ubuntu didn't update all the repositories. So we need to have a little workaround here. I need to update, let's update apt-get. Okay. Okay, Eric Ryder says, have you tried booting Linux? It's in beta, but should work on the M1. I don't know which version you mean specifically, but yeah, this is what we're doing right now, and it is the ARM version of Linux running here. Black Spido says, hey, Alex. Vasily says, no need to use Parallels. I have a Windows PC. Yeah, I mean, if you have Windows and you're using Windows and you need Visual Studio, then that's the way to go right now, I'd say. Okay, this one is already set up, and we're gonna finish that up. I don't want to be locked out of my own system here on the first try here. Okay. Fine, fine, fine. Great. That is super fast to get up and running. Make directory code. By the way, when you see my videos that are edited and they're all shiny and nice, that's not what actually happens. What actually happens is I have to type stuff a million times because I'm a mistypist. I'm a terrible typist. Tasnim asks, Android Studio is not native yet. No, it's not. And if you are doing any kind of Android development, I would say don't yet upgrade to the M1 because it doesn't work very well. Soon, I hope. All right, let's continue here. So we've got, we've updated apt-get. Now I want to install curl because curl is not installed by default. And the reason I'm doing this is because My goal is to install the latest version of Node. I want to be on the cutting edge of Node in order to run this. I want to get the ARM version of Node, and you can't do it using the regular Ubuntu repositories. So we need to pull it directly. So I'm going to install curl first. All right. Oh, can you all see that? Hopefully it's big enough. Now curl should be on the system. Good to go. Now I'm going to pull NVM so I can use the Node version manager to pull down version 16 of Node. And the command for that is curl https. We're going to go to the raw GitHub user content.com nvm-sh. I have a cheat sheet here. I don't remember this by memory. Version 0.35.3 install.sh bash. Whew. Okay, so I think that might have done it. Yeah. NVM install 16. Whew. Huh? Oh, maybe it didn't do it. Let's restart our terminal and see if that helps out. NVM. Yeah, there we go. NVM install 16. Okay, Node is installed. Let's check the version of that. Version 16. Very cool. So we are on our way, folks. This is not going to be a very long stream. Hopefully not, because I know you all have business to do, things to get to. So I need to do the same exact stuff here, and this is the tedious part. This is the Intel machine now. But all this stuff is going to be native to the architecture that it's running on. Okay, we've got an update. And now we need to install curl. And in the meantime, let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, let me see here. Kunal says, I also have an M1 MacBook Air. Congrats. Sandeep asks, are you using 7-core versus 8-core? This is the 8-core machine here. And Eric Ryder says, I meant booting in natively, not using a VM. Oh, I see what you mean. So Eric asks if I can boot natively to Linux, and have I tried that? I have not yet. I have not done that yet. So that's probably something to do. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, you can. Ionic Ninja says, I can listen to those Intel fans. If you're hearing any noise, folks, it's definitely this machine over here. Yeah, it's definitely the Core i9. And the temperature is quite different as well. I mean, you've seen this before. You know what's happening. This machine is the Intel Core i9 machine. This is the MacBook M1. And this one is warm. This one is warmer, much warmer. All right, let's get back to this. So what did I do last? I did curl. Now this is the long, annoying command that I gotta type out. HTTPS raw GitHub user content. We're gonna get NVM Node version manager. And we're doing this because, for those of you that missed that part, because Node only gets you, if you install Node using Ubuntu, it just gets you version 10. We want the latest cutting edge version of Node. Terminal. Okay, so now we should have NVM here. Good. NVM install 16. Boom. Okay, so let's check the version of Node. We got 16 on the Intel machine. Huh. For some reason, we can't see the Intel machine anymore. Why? Because it decided it wants to have 2 monitors instead of 1. Let's do this. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Back to the Intel machine. Node version is 16. MacBook Air Node version is 16. Now, there's one more thing I want to check to make sure that we are running the ARM version of Node, and that's Node-P process architecture. Look at that, ARM 64 right there. I wonder if there's a way to make this bigger. The usual tricks don't work. Command plus, Control plus doesn't work. If anybody knows, let me know. Okay, hopefully you can see that that says ARM 64 right there on the M1. Let's go over here and we're going to do Node-P process.arch, and this one is x64. So we are now, up till now, native on both of these machines all the way through. Yeah, not sure how to make that font bigger. Daniel says on the menu you can do it. But if it's big enough, then we should be good to go. All right, folks. We're at the point where we have Node. We have, let me make sure I started the browser first because that's going to be important. Okay, we have Node. We have, all we need is the Angular CLI now, right? All right, so we're going to get to that in a second. Let me see what you all are saying over here. Okay. Angular is not available on M1 natively. Yeah, so it's going to be using the JavaScript engine, right? Because, and whatever the JavaScript engine you have, that's going to be the native engine that you're using. So Angular is going to use the native node here, and that's going to be native on each one of these machines. All right. Daniel Oliveira says, I think it'll be great if you make a video comparing the versions. I think you mean versions of Android Studio. I do have a video on that. Check out my channel for that. Coding Mastery, welcome back. Bro, 4 days before I bought the Mac Mini M1. Display issues on the monitor. Sorry to hear that. That sucks. That's not good. Glenn Adams says, waiting for the 14-inch MacBook Pro M1. Yes, It's probably going to be M1X or the next chip. At least that's what I'm hoping. Hoping it's going to be the next iteration of the chip, which is going to use the ARM9 chip processor, hopefully. Samibuka, welcome, welcome. VS Code sometimes crashes on my M1 Mac. Huh, I haven't seen that yet. Do you have the universal version? I wonder. The universal version is supposedly the stable one, but it's also, you know, it's very new, so maybe you'll run into crashes once in a while. Hopefully it opens up and with your saved files, or saves your files for you. Bora says, I got my M1. Congrats. Yeah. Yeah, so Adrian Liku says, I have Parallels Preview ARM plus Windows Preview. That's exactly what I have as well, and I tried Visual Studio just like you. Debugger is not working. So Visual Studio used to work for me up until the very last version of Parallels that I installed, and with the latest update of Windows for ARM Insiders. I don't know, it just stopped working. And it's telling me that it's very unstable. It even gives me a warning that says, look, you know, what are you trying to do here? This is not stable. Let me show you that actually. I took a picture of it. It's right here. Look, it says Visual Studio. Installing Visual Studio on ARM-powered devices is not supported. Sorry, if you continue, Visual Studio might be slow or unusable. Yeah, it was unusable for me. For the best experience with ARM-based devices, we recommend remote targeting. So I read that article as well. And, you know, Windows is supposed to do the translation for you. But for some reason, with Visual Studio, it's not working all the way through. I don't know if Visual Studio is using some kind of, it's probably using some kind of APIs that are really deeply nested. Depends on what you're doing with it. But if you are using .NET, just the CLI on a Windows machine, and you want to use that with ARM, that actually works. You can't build .NET, or you can't build or debug or run .NET, ASP.NET Core applications. I tried that. Doesn't work at all. Just gives me an error. Okay, so what do we got here? We are about to do this. We're about to install the Angular CLI. So let's do that. npm install global at Angular CLI. It's going to do it. It's going to do it. Okay, let's do that over here as well. npm install dash global at Angular. Oh my goodness. This computer is off to the side, so it's a little harder to type. My excuse for that. Okay, we're done with the Angular CLI installation over here. I'm going to go back to my code project, code folder I mean. And I'm going to use the Angular CLI to create a new project. Let's call it first project. Now, I'm not going to time this because, well, you know what? Let's time it. Why not? I'll just do it at different times on these two machines. We'll include routing on that, and we'll make it SAS. So I used to do some of these tests at the same time on two machines, and some folks in the comments said, well, if you're going to be doing network intensive tasks like installing and downloading packages from the network, the two machines are competing for the network resources. And that's true. So it's better to time some of these things separately. Let's see what you all are saying here. Whoa, 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 whoa. What happened here with Okay, here we go, my chat. Sami Buka says, any coders here? Probably. I'd imagine a lot of you folks are coders. Coding mastery. Okay, we already went through these. Ionic app on iOS simulator does not load at all, or not load CSS for the app on M1. Really? Huh. So I tried React Native and I tried NativeScript. I haven't tried Ionic, but I mean that's an Angular application, and it's using pretty much the same technologies as those other two. It may be that some of their build processes are not yet fully supported on the M1, but I would imagine it still should work through Rosetta at least. So I don't know why you're running this into this issue. Does the Ionic repo say they support M1, or do they have an open issue on their repository saying that they're waiting for an M1 support? I don't know. That's something to look into. Adem says, hello, when will Android Studio support to M1? So they're already working on it, and when, I don't know, but they are working on it. It's pretty bad right now. If you need it now, I would not get the M1 if you need it right away. But it's a work in progress, and it's definitely making progress. Not as fast as some other software, unfortunately. Saurabh says, this is only on iOS simulator. Works fine on the device itself. Oh, I see. Yeah, something's probably messed up with your environment, I'd have to say at that point. If everything builds fine and it deploys to the device, maybe something with your simulator. Try running just a regular project built in Xcode. Should work fine in the simulator too. Okay, we are almost there, folks. So, keep getting distracted by the chat, but it's just fun to chat with you guys. We got the first project in, and we got the time for that too. Look at that. Now let's do the same thing over here on our Intel box. So ng new first proj, and we're going to time this. I'm going to pick the same options. I am going to select routing and SAS. So, okay, this one is already done, and this one took, it says, what is that? Real. I'm going to go with that time. This time command works a little bit differently than it does on the Mac. So real says 43 seconds, and that seems about right, I'd say. All right, so the SSD question comes up, and I knew this was going to happen. Okay, here we go. Real on the Intel says 51 seconds, on the M1 says 43 seconds. All right, so there's the M1, 43 seconds, and Intel, 51 seconds. Already a little bit of a speed up there. Let's go into that directory, first project, and I'm going to serve this. I'm going to time it. So it's going to build. So this is the first time I'm running it. It's going to build it and serve it. Time ng serve -o. Pop it open in the browser. Okay. All right, I'll set that up, and I'm going to do the same thing here. This one I will run at the same time because it's fun. Time ng serve -o. All right, let's do this. Now you can watch these two at the same time, and we'll see which one pops up with the browser first. Whoa! That was pretty clear, I think. We have a clear winner. Yeah, the M1 popped up much faster. I'm going to close the tabs here. I'm going to close the browser here as well. Let's take a look at the times. That's a big difference right there. Okay, so just to give you an idea here. So the build took 7.4 seconds right here. What is this build? This is another build, 283 milliseconds. I'm not sure what the difference between those two is. And now let's take a look at the Intel. So 7.4 was the first number on the M1. Here it's 9.9 seconds. And 283 was the second number. And here it's 427. So I don't know, what is that? Like 30% longer on the Intel machine. And this one is almost twice as long, whatever the second build is. Maybe this one is building JavaScript and this one's building styles. I'm not sure. Let's run this one more time just to get a little bit more information. Okay, I'm going to quit that. And here as well. And let's run this one more time on both machines. I closed the browsers. Good. Okay. Let's go. Okay, folks, clearly this one won again much faster. Okay. So that is considerably faster on the M1. And here are the times again. Now we only have one build number, so that's good. It says 3600 milliseconds, 3.6 seconds over here on the M1. There it is. And over here on the Intel, we have 5.005 seconds. So yeah, even on the second run, it was much faster on the M1. Anybody else want to see this again? Let me know in the comments here. All right, let me read some of your comments. Juan Miguel says, has anyone been able to install SolidWorks? I don't know what that is. Anybody can help Juan over here? I don't know what SolidWorks is, and I haven't tried it. But there is a handy website. Does it ARM? I don't know if you know it or not. But if you want to check it out, you can check this website and you can see if there's ARM support for your software. Your software might be here or maybe not. Not SolidWorks. SolidWorks. There it is, SolidWorks. Yes, it works via parallel virtualization. Huh. Okay. Well, there's maybe an answer for you, I hope. Adam says, my M1 MacBook Air base model sometimes stops and restarts itself. I've had that happen once, but I've also had that happen with my Intel machine, so who knows what's happening with that. All right. Kumar says, is 70 Celsius safe for my M1 MacBook Air? I don't know what that means. Like, are you like setting it on fire or something? What are you trying to do there? Are you cooking it? Wesley says, I already bought a MacBook Pro. Unfortunately not the Air, but somehow I keep watching your benchmarks because I'm still amazed at the performance. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I don't know why, unfortunately, you still have a really, really good machine there. And the Pros, I would imagine, have a higher resale value than the Airs. The Air will save you some money, but the Pro will probably have a higher resale value. So you have a good machine there. Kumar says, my M1 chip is getting 70C. Is it safe? Are you measuring the chip itself? Like, did you open the machine and you are measuring the temperature of the chip? Because I've never seen temperatures like that. That's really high. Let's take a look at the temperatures. I have a thermometer here. Let's take a look. All right, we're not building anything right now, but let's just see what the resting temperature is. 30 degrees over here. I don't know if you can see that or not. 30 degrees, that's what it says. And over here it says 41 degrees. So that's just resting temperature. Pretty big difference there. But I don't see anything like 70. That's a lot. So back to the SSD issue. Folks, I haven't seen any problems with it, but again, I also haven't really tested the SSD like some of the folks that are complaining about it. And what I can tell you is that it's going to be dependent on the software and the amount of RAM you have. So if you have less RAM, it's going to swap more. That's just going to happen with any machine. This machine, my Intel machine right here, has 64 gigs of RAM. So it hardly ever hits that, even close to that. Even running a virtual machine, I'm using 8 gigabytes for this Linux box, I believe. And, you know, I still have a lot to play with. And it probably hardly ever writes to swap. Now over here I have 16. It may write to swap once in a while. If you have 8, then it's going to write to swap even more. So that's why I suggest, you know, you go with the highest possible RAM available. Even if you're not going to be using it, you're going to save. First of all, it's going to be a higher resale value. If you do decide to run virtualization, you have the ability to run multiple virtual machines at the same time. I used to do this when I did SharePoint development. I had up to like 4 Windows servers running at the same time on a machine. And this was a 32 gigabyte machine. And you have a higher resale value, which is, you know, I always talk about that because I've personally sold my old MacBook Pros, and they shocked me how much money people pay for used machines like that. I keep my machines very neat and pristine, and you know, I hardly ever travel, especially now, with them. So, you know, they're always clean. I always take care of them. So they may have something to do with the resale value for that. People look for machines that are well maintained. But I always get very good results when I try to sell them. So that's why I always say, you know, it's important to look at resale value of machines. And that's one of the biggest benefits to buying one of these MacBooks. Not only is it good hardware, but also you get a lot of your money back. All right, what else we got here? I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. Don't want to keep you all too long because we did already finish the test. But if there is another, if you want me to run this test again, or if you want me to create a different project, or if you know an open source Angular repo that we can quickly pull down and build, maybe a bigger one, bigger than Hello World, let me know down in the comments as well, please. Okay, so let's see. Dinesh asks, does it support for Oracle DB now? I don't know. But if Oracle was not supported on ARM before the end of 2020, I highly doubt that it's going to be supported now. Has anybody tried Ruby on Rails on Ubuntu M1? Asks Daniel. I have not tried it. Anybody else? Glenn says yes, high resale value. So yeah, you get a pretty good resale value with these Macs, and it's one of the reasons I like buying them. So right now, I don't know if you can see this, but you probably can't. This right here, this is a 2014 iMac, and it's my main machine, my daily driver, because, oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that. This iMac right here, that's where I see all the chat. I use this every day because of the convenience of having a large screen. It's a 2014 machine and it runs perfectly fine. I can't say the same thing about 7-year-old machines that are PCs that I've ever used that still run to their fullest. And I'm going to be able to turn around and sell this thing and somebody's going to buy it. I don't know how much I'll get for it, maybe 500, maybe 800 bucks. Imagine selling a 7-year-old PC for $500 or $700. Who's going to do that? All right. I did put the headphones on the wrong way. You're correct. And that's because I want to plug him in on that side and I don't want the cable running across me. Nicola, thanks for that question. Good eye. Okay, so this is a question that's pertinent to what we're doing today by Gulami Delon. What about virtualization on M1? Does it work well now? Yes, it works very well. And I've ran Windows and now Linux as of today on Parallels version 16.5, which is now fully supported. All the functionality has now been ported over to ARM. So Parallels is the only one, as far as I'm aware, that supports the new ARM architecture. I used to be a VMware user. That does not have support yet. VirtualBox does not have support and might not for a long time. It's an open source project and people don't seem too keen on opening up that avenue. So right now we got Parallels, and Parallels is something I switched to before even, I switched to them last year before even trying ARM or knowing about the M1 Air, and I really enjoy using it. It works very well. I remember trying them a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and they weren't that great, but now they're the best, in my opinion. All right, so let's see. There's a question about battery draining. Blizzards, do you have a problem with battery draining fast on Chrome? Overall, I don't have much of a problem with battery draining. So right now, both of these machines are not plugged into power, and I've been running this, I don't know, for about an hour now. Let's take a look at the batteries. They were both about fully charged when I started. So this one is at 57% for the Intel box. All right, there it is, 57%, 56 now as I was saying that. And the M1 is at 93%. And that's running a virtual machine for an hour or so. So we're about halfway down on the Intel box, about 7% down on the M1. All right, let's see. Are you using the A10 Mini? Yes, I am. Cowley says the only PC machines with high resale value is ThinkPad laptops. Interesting. I wonder why that is. What about Dells? I've had PC laptops before, but when I tried to look up the sale value, resale value, I just got so discouraged I thought I just might as well keep it. Let the kids play with it or something. All right. I have a 2015 iMac, runs great. Yep, it does. Those machines were really good. I hope the new iMacs that just came out are just as well built. Sam says, ditch Chrome, use Brave. I hear Brave is pretty cool, at least if you're really concerned about privacy. I haven't tried it myself. I like to use the tools that are that have good support for development, and I do a lot of web development, and Chrome has really good developer tools. So I just kind of naturally gravitate towards it. Elvis, cool name, says, I used a Mac Mini 2012 with 16 gigs of RAM and SSD and was thinking to upgrade, and I feel will be my best option, any Mac with M1. I think you'll notice a huge difference going from a 2012 Mac Mini to an M1 Mac Mini. And I'd like to just add that if I were to buy a machine for my daily use right now, and if I was upgrading, I would get the Mini, the Mac Mini. The MacBook Air is nice, but the Mac Mini has a little bit more options as far as ports on it. And I have an external monitor anyway, so I would just use it at home as my machine, and it works. When I've tested, I had the Mac Mini in here, and I tested against these two. It works. They work about the same. They have about the same processing speed and performance. Nicola says, I have some virtual machines that are Windows 7 because of specific options they wanted us to work on. My question is, can I use them on M1? No. They will not work on the M1. The M1 is an ARM-based machine, and Parallels is an ARM piece of software, and it uses only ARM-based images for your virtual machines. Glenn also switched from VirtualBox to Parallels, much better. Yeah, I agree. Matthew Morton says, is 8 gigabytes RAM enough for a VM? It depends what you're doing. So if you're running a SharePoint server, no. If you're doing Angular development, then yeah. When do you think, Simiami Drew says, when do you think ARM 9 Macs will get introduced? So ARM v9 just got announced last month, and my guess, I don't know when this is going to happen, but this is just my guess, is that the next iteration of Apple Silicon machines, the next generation, will have the ARM v9. At least I'm hopeful. HuiCat says, I think we'll try with M1 at first, then waiting for the new M1X chip. Yeah, you can always sell your M1 as well. Ali says, did you have serious issue on M1 in all of your tests? No, just the only serious issues I had was when I tried to run software that was just not built for the ARM architecture. For example, Visual Studio 2019. So Brave and Chrome have the same dev tools. That's interesting. Is Brave based on the same project as Chrome? I don't know that. Huh. That's interesting. So the only difference between Brave and Chrome is the security, or is it privacy? Agrail asked that, or said that. Thanks for the comment. Tanbeer says, are you using speedometer to check differences between Chrome and Firefox on MBP? I did use speedometer, but I have not tested Firefox. Should we do that? Should we do that right now? That's a good one. Let's do that. Why not? All right, so this is not related to what we were doing today, but I'll keep those virtual machines running in case somebody else comes up with something. Let's see if I have Firefox installed on my machine here. I do. On my Intel machine, I have Firefox. Let's do a test with speedometer. And on my, on this one, I probably don't. On the M1. Oh, do I? I do. Wait, did I already do this test? I do so many of these that I kind of lose track sometimes. So let's do it. We're going to test speedometer. Speedometer, if you don't know what it is, I'll show you. Speedometer. It is over here. Wait, did I spell it right? I did. Why isn't it coming up? Come on, Firefox. There it is. Okay, so this is on browserbench.org, and it's speedometer 2.0. And what it is basically going to have a bunch of to-do list sample applications that simulate interaction, that user interaction. So it has Angular, it has React, it has Vue, jQuery, so even plain vanilla JS. So it's over there. Let's get it up over here as well. And this one is going to be an interesting one to do a race. Okay, so I do have Firefox here. And we might even do Chrome. All right, I'm going to do this race right now. Let's click on this at the same time and begin. Huh. All right, let's see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens with Firefox over here. Matthew says, so I'm assuming 8 gigabytes of RAM on the M1 is good enough for Windows Forms on Visual Studio 2019 through Parallels. No, that's not the case because Visual Studio 2019 is not going to work on the M1 yet. Visual Studio 2022 might. Probably will be, but not Visual Studio 2019. So if you do need Visual Studio 2019, do not get the M1. It will not work. David says, hello, man. Hello, David. Guess what happened, folks? we have a winner by a long shot. All right, look at this. All right, the M1 MacBook Air, a score of 204, off the chart. Here is the Core i9 on the chart, 119. Yeah. This is a fun test. All right, if anybody wants to see me do this in Chrome as well for a comparison, I can do that, but I think we already know what's going to happen. Saurabh says I get a score of 234 on the M1 MacBook Air. Are you using Firefox or are you using Safari? Because in Safari I got the highest score. So, since we're doing this, might as well. We got a couple minutes left on the stream, and that's enough time for us to test speedometer on Safari and on Chrome, I'd even say. So I'm going to kick things off right over here. I kicked it off on the M1. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Let's pull up Safari on the i9, which should give us pretty good test results, I think. Start test. Okay, they're off to the races. This is the fun part right here, where we get to watch stuff. And we have a result already for Safari on the M1, and that's 221. So 204 on Firefox, 221 on Safari, and we'll do one more. We'll do Chrome. Okay. 144 on Safari. So, you know, I'll summarize all this at the end, but it's not as high as I thought it would be. And one more test over here on the Intel box. Okay, so let's just arrange these so we can see everything. Sometimes these are the most fun tests to do because they really, really visually show you these incredible results. Incredible, as Tim Cook says. Everything is incredible. I'm not a native English speaker, but when somebody says incredible, I always think, like, that's unbelievable, right? You can't believe it. Just doesn't make sense. All right. We're almost there, folks. We almost have the results. Let's get to some of these questions here. So Saurabh says he got 234. So your machine is working better than mine. That's actually really good. Firefox Developer Edition. Huh. There's also Chromium. Ooh, Chromium is something that might work pretty well. David says, I'm go to sub. If that means you're going to subscribe, thank you, David. Appreciate that. Martin says, I started speedometer when you started your first one, and mine is still not finished. Maybe you have an older machine, I don't know, but yeah, my older machines don't do so well either. The MacBook Air has 16 gigabytes of RAM for Cisco RN. Donaldo asks, do you know if you can debug .NET Core app running in Docker? I'm guessing that because the entire hardware architecture stack needs to be ARM, then the answer to that is no. But again, I want to specify that that's a guess. Based on what I've seen so far, it's not going to run. Kern says, what's your native language? Russian. And Martin got a score of 40. Thanks for sharing that, and I'm sorry. Here's our results, folks. And we're going to wrap it up here. We've got on the MacBook M1 Air, I don't know if you can see this. I think you can. We've got 204, 221, 204 on Firefox, 221 on Safari, 215 on Chrome. So Chrome does better than Firefox on the M1. That's interesting. Here on the Intel machine, 119 for Firefox. 144 on the Safari box, and 78 on the poor, shiny, not so shiny Chrome. So that's pretty bad right there. Chrome did the worst on Intel. Okay, folks. Vasily says, Русский язык родной, and I'm gonna say da. Even though it's not very easy for me to read Russian anymore, but I can still read. По акценту и не скажешь, что русский. I also tested my old 2017 MacBook Air, got a score of 71. All right, folks. Thanks you so much for coming today. This has been really fun. I really love interacting with you, and we're going to do this again real soon. See you all later.